Okay, so my book was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And it's broken down into four chapters with several principles for each chapter. And so I just picked three or four, two or three of each principle from each chapter that I thought were important that I'm going to share with you today. So, first point, or the first chapter, is fundamental techniques in handling people. So basically, the main principle is don't criticize, condemn, or complain. When you're dealing with people, say if someone does something wrong or doesn't do the job right, don't go off and criticize them right away because he uses an analogy like a homing pigeon is just going to come straight back to you, and they're going to turn it and just criticize and justify what they did, and criticize you for criticizing them. Um, Another example he says in the book is about Al Capone, who, when he got caught, had said he's a notorious gangster and criminal from Chicago, if you didn't know. But he said that he has spent the best years of his life giving people the lighter pleasures, like drinking and drugs, whatever he did, uh, helping them have a good time, and all he got was abuse. So he's justifying. He's not condemning himself. He's justifying what he did, pretty much, and he's was caused a lot of havoc, and he still doesn't condemn himself for what he did. So people don't generally do that. Is the main point. So criticizing doesn't get you what you need to get done. So the important point there is uh, it'll come back to you if you criticize people. So find another way to do it. Don't scold. Start with something positive. Skip the scolding and move on to what they can do next time. Okay. Then the next chapter two, the next couple principles I'm going to go over that I thought were important. Chapter two is 6 ways to make people like you. So become generally interested in other people. Showing interest and affection without ulterior motives is important. As far as don't be, not having wanting to sell something to somebody. Just generally be interested in what they're saying. People love talking about themselves. People are most interested in themselves. So if you can put your interests aside and truly learn, you can truly learn more about that person by putting your ego aside, and you'll be better off actually getting to know that person and making a new friend. So, greet people. Also, greet people with animation and enthusiasm. Use a tone that is warming and pleasing. People pick up on that. Um, and then, also on the other hand of all this, how this works is that as people, we're interested in others when they're interested in us. So if you show the interest, they'll be interested in you as well, and that's kind of how it all works, as far as how Dale Carnegie explains it in his book. And then one more principle I thought was important out of this chapter was this real quick one um, that I'd like to share is that just use a person's name when you're talking to them. It helps a lot. It makes it more sincere and personal when you're making a conversation, and all this helps with you networking and creating good, strong customer relations in the business world. Okay, chapter three or part three is how to win people, which I thought was the most important chapter, is how to win people to your way of thinking, especially for this entrepreneurial class that we're in. So, um, the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. That's the first principle, which I think is very important. As far as arguments go, it's not normal conversing, but just getting in an argument with somebody is the best way to win that argument is just to avoid it off the bat. So first off, Carnegie claims that 9 times out of 10, an argument ends with the opposite person more firmly convinced that they're still right. So it really doesn't do any good. Arguments are not productive conversations, therefore you can't win them because the person's always going to go back and either think that they're still right or they're just going to resent you because they lost the argument. So once again, you're going to be losing friends, losing customer relationships in the business world, which if you're trying to build a business is not good. Um, so don't make the other person feel inferior, especially if they're a potential client. or just someone working underneath you. It'll just create resentment and triumph in the workplace. So I'm going to do a quick quote from Carnegie. He said, "A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still." So if you can remember that, it'll help you remember all this, I think. So I think there's a quick ways to avoid an argument. Welcome a disagreement. Perhaps it will solve a solution. There's two partners. Say there's two partners, and they agree 100% of the time. The other partner is not needed because they're always agreeing. So maybe you're wrong, basically. Welcome the disagreement. Distrust your first instinctive impression. If you are wrong, think about what could be right. Control your temper and then listen first. Thank you. Oh, here's the book.